The morning sun beat down on the quiet suburban street as Logan Cole wiped the sweat from his brow. He was standing in the backyard of David Harper, a wealthy businessman who had hired him for some repairs around the house. Today, Logan was fixing the fence, making sure the wooden panels stood strong. It was simple, honest work, far removed from his past life. David Harper stood nearby, sipping his coffee. "You work fast, Logan. I'll be honest, I didn't expect you to get so much done in a day." Logan smirked. "Years of experience. The trick is knowing what to fix before it becomes a problem." David chuckled. "I could use that mindset in my business." He paused, looking thoughtful. "To be honest, I've got bigger problems than this fence right now." Before Logan could ask, David's phone rang. His relaxed expression vanished as he saw the caller ID. He quickly answered, putting the phone to his ear. "Lillian, what's wrong?" His voice tightened as he listened. Then his face turned pale. Logan watched as David's hand trembled. "What? What do you mean? Who took her?" David staggered back, gripping the edge of the patio table for support. "Stay there. I'm coming." He ended the call, his hands shaking. "What happened?" Logan asked. David turned to him, his face stricken with fear. "It's Emily, my daughter. She was shopping with my wife when men took her." Logan's jaw tightened. He had seen this happen before. It was never random. "They took her in broad daylight?" David nodded. "Lillian said they came out of nowhere. They forced her into a black SUV and drove off. She couldn't stop them." His breath came in short gasps. I don't know what to do." Logan placed a firm hand on David's shoulder. "First, we go to the authorities." David nodded quickly, grabbing his keys. Yes, we'll go right now." But deep down, Logan already had a bad feeling about how this would turn out. At the police station, David paced back and forth while Logan leaned against the wall, watching the officers carefully. Detective Morales, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, sat behind his desk, listening to David's frantic explanation. "My daughter has been kidnapped," David said. "We need to do something. Now." Morales let out a sigh and rubbed his temples. "Mr. Harper, we take all missing persons cases seriously, but these things take time. We need to conduct an investigation." David's face darkened. "Investigation? My daughter was just taken. You have cameras and resources. Use them." Morales hesitated. "Look, I'll be honest with you. There are certain elements in this city we don't interfere with." David's mouth fell open. "You're saying you won't help?" Morales exhaled slowly. "I'm saying if the Sombra cartel took her, there's nothing we can do." Logan, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. "So you just let criminals do whatever they want?" Morales looked at Logan carefully. "You don't understand how this works. The cartel owns half of this city. We step in, and they'll make things worse. It's better to negotiate." David slammed his fists on the desk. "You're telling me to negotiate with the men who stole my daughter?" Morales looked away. "I'm sorry." Logan clenched his fists. He had seen this before. Corrupt officials, scared lawmen, people too weak to act. David turned to Logan, his voice shaking. "What do I do?" Logan took a deep breath. He had wanted to leave his old life behind, to be a simple handyman, but now he had no choice. "I'll find her," Logan said. His voice was calm, but there was steel behind it. "And I'll bring her home." David stared at him. "You what? How?" Logan met his eyes. "You don't want to know." Because for the first time in years, Logan Cole wasn't a handyman anymore. He was a retired assassin. The drive back to David's house was silent. David gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles white. Logan sat in the passenger seat, deep in thought. When they arrived, David slumped into a chair, holding his head in his hands. "I don't know what to do," he whispered. Logan stood in the middle of the living room, his expression unreadable. The air in the room was thick with tension. Finally, he spoke. "Do you have enemies?" David looked up, startled. "What?" "The men who took your daughter, Was it random or was it personal? David swallowed hard. I run a construction business. We deal with permits, land deals. Sometimes I have to say no to the wrong people. Logan nodded. And the wrong people didn't like that. David's eyes widened. You think this is about me? Logan didn't answer immediately. He looked at the pictures on the wall. Photos of Emily growing up. A happy family life. A life that had just been shattered. I need to know who took her, Logan said. And I need to find them fast. David hesitated. What are you going to do? Logan turned to face him, his eyes cold. I'm going to do what the police won't. David studied him for a moment. You were in the military, weren't you? Logan didn't blink. Something like that. David swallowed hard, but then he nodded. Whatever you need, it's yours. Logan walked to the kitchen, grabbed a glass of water, and took a slow sip. Then he looked at David. I'll need a car, something untraceable, and cash. David nodded. Done. And one more thing, Logan said. David looked at him. Logan's voice was calm, but there was a quiet menace in it. I need a gun. That night, Logan drove through the city, his mind focused. He wasn't just looking for Emily. He was hunting the people who took her. He had spent years as an assassin, working for a covert black ops unit. He had taken down warlords, corrupt officials, and cartel leaders. He knew how these men operated, and he knew exactly where to find them. His first stop was the Blue Orchid, a nightclub known for laundering cartel money. Inside, the music pounded, and men in expensive suits sat in the VIP section, drinking and laughing. Logan walked past the bouncers without hesitation. His presence alone made people uneasy. He wasn't a large man, but there was something in his posture, in his eyes, something dangerous. At the bar, he spotted a man he recognized. Miguel Vasquez, a mid-level enforcer for the Sombra cartel. Logan sat next to him and ordered a drink, tequila. Miguel glanced at him and smirked. New face. You don't belong here, amigo. Logan took a slow sip. Then without warning, he grabbed Miguel's wrist and twisted it. Miguel gasped in pain as Logan leaned in. You took a little girl today, Logan said quietly. Where is she? Miguel's eyes widened. I don't know what you're talking about. Logan sighed. Then in one quick motion, he slammed Miguel's head against the bar. The music was too loud for anyone to notice. Miguel groaned in pain, blood dripping from his nose. I'll ask again, Logan whispered. Where is she? Miguel coughed. I don't know exactly, but I swear it was Raul Ortega who ordered it. He runs the warehouse by the docks. Logan let go of Miguel, who slumped forward, gasping for air. Stay out of my way, Logan said coldly. Then he walked out. The docks were silent, except for the sound of waves crashing against the pier. Logan crouched behind a stack of shipping containers, watching the warehouse from a distance. There were at least 6 armed men outside, patrolling. Too many to take head on. He needed a distraction. He picked up a small rock and tossed it near the far end of the warehouse. The sound echoed in the night. 2 guards turned. What was that? As they walked toward the noise, Logan moved. Silent. Precise. Deadly. Within seconds, he was behind the first guard. He wrapped an arm around the man's neck and squeezed. The guard struggled, but soon went limp. The second guard barely had time to react before Logan drove his knife into his ribs, lowering him gently to the ground. Now there were 4 left. Logan took one of the fallen guard's pistols and moved toward the entrance. He pressed his ear to the door. Voices inside. He stepped back, took a deep breath, and then bang. He kicked the door open and fired. Inside, men scrambled for their weapons. But Logan was faster. His first shot took down a man on the left. The second hit another in the chest. 2 more remained. One ran for cover, but Logan rolled behind a crate and fired. The man dropped. The last one, Raul Ortega, grabbed Emily and put a gun to her head. Drop it or she dies, Raul shouted. Emily was terrified, her face streaked with tears. Logan's gun stayed steady. If you wanted to kill her, you'd have done it already. Raul's hands trembled. He wasn't used to dealing with men like Logan. Logan took a slow step forward. You know who I am, don't you? Raul swallowed. You're... Logan took another step. Raul panicked. He shoved Emily aside and raised his gun. Bang. Logan fired first. The bullet hit Raul between the eyes. Silence. Emily sobbed. Please, help me. Logan knelt and gently lifted her into his arms. You're safe now. David broke down in tears when Logan returned Emily to him. He hugged his daughter tightly, thanking Logan over and over. I owe you my life, David said. Whatever you need, money, anything, it's yours. Logan shook his head. I don't need anything. David studied him. Why did you do this? Logan looked at Emily. Because some people don't deserve to be saved, but she does. Then without another word, he walked away. For years, he had tried to leave his past behind. But tonight had proved one thing. A man like him would never escape who he was. Subscribe for more of these stories, like and click the notification button. Your game.